Well, greetings to you, my Grace family. It's great to be with you again on this Friday for another one of our weekly updates. Today, we're going to hear some from our principal of our school ministry, Mrs. Deb Erdmann, and so we're glad to have her with us. But first of all, just want to encourage you this weekend as we continue through our sermon series to listen into what it means to be a child of God who is living in different areas and the different callings we have. And this weekend, we're going to look at the calling of our homes, the vocations we have in our homes. And we're titling this sermon this weekend, Homeschooling, because we know that many families are dealing with the intricacies of homeschooling right now. So we will talk about that. But if you don't have a child at home, if you are not doing homeschooling at home, don't worry. This message is going to still be relevant to you. We want to continue to seek ways to serve God's people at Grace and provide ministry that is important for you. And one of the ways that we're trying to identify the best ways to provide ministry for God's people at Grace is to hear from you where you're at in life. And so we sent out this past week an assessment. You would have gotten it via email. It's also attached to this Grace News, that email that you would have just received. So we really want to encourage you to fill out that Grace assessment, send it in. It is anonymous, but there is a place at the end that if you do need some help or there's anything we can do, there's a way to contact us as well. But really want to encourage you to do that. Second of all, we wanted to let you know that we are, as we continue to go through this, and Tony Evers has come out with the Badger Bounce Back Plan, and there are some things that are starting to open up that we as a staff are starting to have the conversation of what is it going to look like and what does it mean to begin to have a plan to go back to in-person ministry. Now understand, one of the principles that we are always reminded of is just because something is legal doesn't mean it's wise. Those are two different things. What is legal and what is wise are two separate issues. And so we're going to look at what is both legal, but also what is wise for us to do at Grace. And we understand that as God's people, that many of you have very different understandings of what you believe should be happening in churches. Some who have said via some of the assessments we've gotten back, please do not open the church too soon. We don't want to come back soon, and so please don't rush into things. And others who have said, we want things opened up now. We don't understand why they have to be closed. And so we understand that there is a wide range of emotions around this topic. So we're going to, in a wise and orderly way, talk about what does it mean to phase back into in-person ministry with patience and diligence, doing what is smart and safe. And we will clarify that as we go through this process and as the staff goes through this process of having this conversation of what it means to move back to in-person ministry. But also then taking into account that some might not be comfortable in coming back right away. And so we're also looking at how do we have a live streaming ministry for those who might want to delay coming back to in-person ministry. Right now, we don't have the capability to do live streaming. We videotape our services on Thursdays, put them all together, and then we email them out or put them on the website on the weekend. And so we need to look at what is it going to take for Grace to have live streaming capabilities so that when we go back to in-person ministry, for those who are not comfortable getting there just yet, that we have the capacity for you to come back when you're ready. So just wanted to give you those updates, and now wanted to have a conversation with Deb about the things that are taking place in our school ministry. So why don't you start off with letting us know, and for those who are listening in today, what is going on in school ministry? I know that's a huge topic, so maybe not the details, but the 10,000-foot image of what's going on in Grace and in education in school ministries today.
So right now, we have settled into a mode of providing virtual instruction to the best that we possibly can. I want to remind all of you that our teachers are highly skilled, but the training that they've had, whether it be through colleges, through professional development, was never intended to be in this sort of model. This week, ironically, was Teacher Appreciation Week, and on Wednesday night, we had a parade right through the parking lot right out here, put on by our PTL, where families came through and got to wave. Some gave us candy, some gave us flowers, some just came with posters and signs telling us how much we miss them. And I want the Grace family to know how incredibly blessed our staff felt by the amount of families that came, the messages they brought with them. I was honored that I got to be the first to greet our families, and many of them stopped to tell me what an incredible job our teachers are doing, and they are fully aware that this is not what they got into teaching for, this is not something they were heavily trained for, so we feel very, very blessed. We are trying to follow up and make sure that we give a thorough body of instruction to our students, because we are aware that even though this feels like it's been going on forever, it is temporary. And at some point we are going to go back to regular school, whatever regular school looks like, and we want every student who returns to us at Grace to be really well prepared for the next step in their education.
Cool. Awesome. And I know I have one in high school going through this and 5 at Grace who are going through this, and I know my children have been just amazingly blessed by their teachers, and I cannot imagine the amount of time and energy and effort that they put into this, and then emotional capacity.
Absolutely.
Having talked with some of the teachers, just the emotions they have behind not being able to see in person, but what a great blessing they are.
Yes.
And speaking of that, we know that the end of the school year is going to look very different. And that means it's different for our kindergartners who are graduating, 3K, 4K, picnics, 8th graders who are graduating. I have an 8th grader who's graduating, and all of that's going to look different. So if you were to speak to them, and you get to right now, what would you say to the families who are understanding that they're not going to be able to celebrate 8th graders their last day of class, their graduation in June, at the beginning of June, like it was supposed to be, and all those big occasions? Could you just speak to those families for a moment?
When I think about our history, in every generation, there's been historical moments. My mother is 77, and when I speak to her, she tells me about the moment that she learned that JFK had been shot. In my generation, I was in grade school when I remember watching on a TV that sat up on like a big tall tray. Those of you who are my age, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And we watched the Challenger take off because there was a teacher on it. And then we watched that rocket literally explode in midair, and we inherently knew that that teacher and those astronauts weren't alive anymore. So to our 8th graders and to all of our students who are struggling, who are unhappy, number one, we are heartbroken with you. There are traditions at Grace that everyone was looking forward to that we will not be able to do. But my word of encouragement is that this is your historic moment. There may never be another 8th grade Grace graduation like there will be this year. It will be different, and it will be in the history books. And although it is painful now, it makes you, all of you, very, very unique. And please know that, speaking for the staff, our love and prayers reaches out to you all the time, whether it be through the emails we send, the Zoom meetings we hold, the phone calls we're making. We are praying for you, and we hold you in our arms and wish very much that we could be with you in this time.
We know that some of the struggle in making a lot of these decisions when it comes to the end of the year things, and then next year is that things change so quickly right now. Week to week. In fact, even at the very beginning, hour to hour, things were changing, and so please be patient as we continue to make some of these decisions and then communicate these decisions to you as God's people. And so my last question goes along with that whole planning piece, because one of the things that, for those who are looking ahead, they've already started to ask is, what about next year? We know that's in terms of this season, a long way off, and yet for some that doesn't seem like a long way off. So if you were to speak to parents who ask the question, okay, as our principal, what's going to happen next year? How would you answer those who ask that question?
Sure. Please know that we have had a lot of inquiries about next year. I think every school, whether it be public or private, is dealing with those questions. I am blessed that I get to electronically collaborate with other Lutheran principals every Monday with our education executive, and we have discussed that at length. What's very interesting in this climate is that we just don't know what the world will be like. We don't know what it will be like next month, much less come August or September. As a school, right now, we are enrolling new students and I'm meeting new families, mostly over the phone or over Zoom, and they're asking me the same thing. And what I have told them is that we are planning to open like usual. We will have our dates, we will have our procedures, the teachers will be prepared. However, in this climate, we also are preparing contingency opens, whether that be soft opens, whether that be a different structure for opening. There have been in the world a few countries that work on a year-round system that have gone back to school, and we're of course looking at and studying what they are doing and what kind of pandemic issues they're having in their country. So we're going to be prepared for whatever comes in the hopes that we don't need any of those contingency plans and we can open like usual.
Yeah, absolutely. And some of it is well out of our hands as it comes to whatever DPI says, because grace does function underneath what DPI does. And so, but we'll continue to keep everybody updated on those changes, along with, as I said before, what a phased move that is both wise and patient and diligent back to in-person ministry might look like, with the struggle of both for worship on Sunday mornings and for our school ministry and for youth group on Sunday nights. We are just richly blessed that we have a lot of people who are part of this. 225 students. On a weekend, we can worship up to 800 on our 4 services, and Sunday nights can have up to 100 youth. But with that many, it comes with the complexity of figuring out how to do it in a safe and wise way. So please continue to keep us in prayer as we make those decisions. God's blessings, and we'll come again and provide you with another update next week. God's peace to you.